Hi, this is Dr. Eric Fields. I am a psychologist specializing in gambling addiction. In today's episode, I'm going to be discussing a very powerful technique so that you stay in the right mental perspective that can really lead to you being resilient against strong compulsions and urges to gamble. So, in cognitive therapy, we call this technique disqualifying the positive. And some of you may think that this is a little bit of a game of semantics, but it's really not, right? So, there are consequential thinking skills that we emphasize a lot in cognitive therapy, which is quite simply keeping in the forefront of your mind all the negative consequences that can result from gambling or any addiction for that matter. The problem with this is that in the moment, the person with the gambling addiction is so over-focused on the reward, the positives that they're going to gain potentially from gambling. And so for me, in my experience, I've found that the technique of disqualifying or minimizing the positive works a lot better. And you will see that this isn't a mental trick. This is really based on reality. So when you're focused on all of these positives, you need to see them for what they really are. All addictions have a perceived benefit to them, right? Or else nobody would do them. So whether that be a mental distraction from their everyday woes and stressors, or a distraction from uncomfortable thoughts, feelings, memories, or a high to kind of change their mood, change their mental perspective, fight boredom, right? There are all these different perceived benefits that all of these addictive behaviors share in common. But when you really start looking at the actual benefit that you get, it's much less than what you think it's going to be, right? So people that are addicted to drugs or alcohol, when they're in this pattern of dependency and compulsive use, they don't feel as good anymore as they once did. But their irrational mindset tells them that it's going to be a great experience just like it used to be. And that's the irrationality of these urges, okay? Now, gambling has a very unique perceived benefit to it out of all the addictions, because gambling is the one addiction that could actually make you money. And money is very appealing to us as human beings, right? Because it's a token that is like a key to open up many different doors for ourselves, right? It can, we look at it as a means to potentially greatly improve our lifestyles and thereby our lives. So none of the other addictions really have that as a benefit, right? But when we deconstruct the value of money from making it with gambling, then you can really see that it's not quite as appealing as you think. So let me kind of give you this example. If you come into a bunch of money that was unintended, let's say an inheritance because God forbid, somebody passes in your family. Or maybe you come into money another way, right? That was not earned. Of course, if you come into a lot of money, it feels good in the moment, but it passes very quickly. That excitement. So I was trying to think of like another way that you can come into a lot of money. Say your student loans get canceled, right? That's another quick way of coming into a lot of money all at once, right? Or at least having more money because now you're not in as much debt. It feels good. There's no doubt about it. You know, if somebody gives you $40,000 as an inheritance, it's $40,000. That's a lot of money. Or if you get $40,000 canceled in your student loans, I mean, yeah, that's significant. But that excitement, the thrill, the gratification passes quickly. And I can tell you from experience, because I have come into a good amount of money from inheritance. And I have had student loans, a sizable amount, be canceled. And it's very interesting, but it doesn't feel nearly the same as when I earn that money. If I make that money in my private practice, that makes me feel really good. Or let's say I come up with an investment strategy that I really think through, and I put a lot of effort and planning into this investment strategy, and it yields a really big return. There's no comparison. And so gambling is not, the money you get from gambling, you're not earning. You just got lucky. And I know there's a lot of you out there. I'm speaking more to my sports bettors that feel, well, I'm just really good at this and I'm good at predicting and everything else. You know deep down inside that so much of that has to do with luck. I mean, at the end of the day, a lot of that has to do with luck. And if you're gambling compulsively, any money that you make from compulsive gambling, you better believe is even more based on luck, because the more compulsively you gamble, the less forethought you're putting into it, the less these guesses are educated, and it's much more random and much more by chance. So if you're a professional gambler, I'm not speaking to you, right? I'm speaking to those of you that have a gambling addiction, that gamble compulsively. When you come into a big win, I am telling you it's going to wear off very quickly, because it doesn't feel so good, because you didn't really do anything. You gambled compulsively and recklessly and you got lucky, because it's the only way you're going to make money from compulsive gambling is by luck. Because again, you're not spending the time you need to spend and not making such careful, educated decisions as, let's say, a professional gambler. It's also the reason why so often when you win a lot of money, you lose it all. Easy come, easy go. So this technique of minimizing the positive is to really deconstruct, this very special benefit to gambling that the other addictions don't have, which is, the possibility or potential of making a lot of money. Even if you make a lot of money with gambling, it won't feel that good because you didn't earn it. I've worked with a lot of compulsive gamblers, and let me tell you, a lot of them are in very successful jobs and positions. And so one of the many functions, aside from the psychological ones that I talk about all the time that are inherent in any addiction, is, this quick way, this perceived quick way of getting ahead, right? So a lot of the people I work with have very high expectations for themselves financially. They're, by, many measures, doing very well and are successful, but that doesn't matter to them because they have their own vision of what success looks like. So, an outsider might say someone making 200 or 300 grand a year is doing great, right? But that person might have even higher expectations than that. And I tell everybody this that I work with. I've had so much success with helping people through all sorts of psychological obstacles and difficulties. One area I've never been successful at, or not very successful, is changing somebody's expectations, right? So if you have high expectations for yourself, there's a certain way that I can help you frame them so you don't put undue pressure on yourself, because that's not healthy. But at the end of the day, if you have hopes and you have dreams and they're really big, and that's where they're at. But compulsive gambling, one, is very unlikely to yield a profit for you because it's so reckless and careless. That's number one. But I know when those urges hit and you're sitting there saying to yourself, oh, I really want to do this, it's because you're focused on the potential of winning. That is what's so exciting. You're not thinking about the probability that you probably will not profit from this, especially long term. What you're thinking about is the possible short-term benefit of running into a lot of cash. And we can combat that by just having you look at your past history. How many times have you won a boatload of cash, right? A lot of cash, and lost it all because easy come, easy go. But that's not going to work so well because you are still focused on this one time, and you are under the belief that you're going to be able to profit and win it big and take that money, and that's going to help you get ahead. And so to combat that vision, you have to really think about what life will be like if, let's say, you won $100,000. That would definitely get you ahead, or even several $100,000. But one, that feeling, that excitement would be so short-lived. It's so different when you come into a lot of money as opposed to earning it. If you earn an extra 100 or 300 grand in a year because you did a side hustle that really, was successful, and it's still, making you money and it has potential to keep making you money, now that's exciting. That's not going to be short-lived. If you put a lot of time and energy into getting another credential or learning another skill that's going to help you get promoted at work, and then you get that promotion, and that leads to a nice jump in salary of $100,000 a year or something of that nature. That's exciting. That feels good. Or if you come up with an investment plan, a financial plan, and you invest wisely, and that winds up yielding a nice profit at the end of the year, that feels good, because all three of those examples have to do with you doing something, using this to get ahead. You don't ever feel so good when money is just handed to you. Do you know how many lotto winners go bankrupt? It's unbelievable. And the reason why is because exactly what I'm saying, easy come, easy go. It doesn't feel that great, The money is not as valuable to you because you didn't earn it. And I'm telling you, you're gonna feel very, very empty. I mean, you've heard of those, cliches in terms of the trust fund babies, right? They get all this money, from their parents or their grandparents via this trust fund, and they wind up blowing it all, or they are more miserable than they've ever been in their life. It's all based on the same premise that I'm telling you. So stop thinking of this big win as the big fix you're looking for in your life. It's not going to do that. Chances of that happening the way you're gambling is slim to none. But again, I know you're not focused on that. You're focused on, like the lotto slogan goes, hey, you never know, right? And I'm telling you, even if that were the case, even if you could make several hundred grand from this compulsive gambling and hold on to it, you'd still feel so empty inside. Imagine coming into this money. I want you to honestly, now that you're in a more rational mindset watching this video, I want you to be honest with yourself and think, would that really make me happy? Would my life really change for the better? Right? Maybe that day, maybe that week, maybe it might even drag out for a few weeks to a month. I'm telling you, that's probably the most you're going to get out of that. And then after that, you're going to have to take a look inside again, and you're still not going to be happy with what you're seeing. Because this is an external thing that has nothing to do with the internal, right? Making money by using this, by doing certain things and trying to get ahead and learning a new skill to get a promotion, or to come up with a smarter investment strategy, or to come up with a side gig or hustle that makes you a lot of extra money that you created, that you did. Oh man, the high from that lasts a long time, and it keeps going, right? Because that's something you can keep doing. I bet you're not going to keep repeating those kind of gambling wins. And even if you did, it still comes back to the same premise. You didn't do anything special. You didn't truly earn it. It's not because of you. It does nothing for your ego. And you might delude yourself into thinking a little bit that you had something to do with it. But deep down inside, you're going to come to the conclusion that this was random and luck and really doesn't have anything to do with you. It doesn't make you a better person. It doesn't prove anything to yourself or anyone else. Disqualify this perceived positive of gambling. And that's going to be the best weapon that you can use against these gambling urges. Because if the big prize doesn't sound that appealing anymore, those urges are going to dissipate very quickly. This is Dr. Eric Fields. I hope you found this video helpful. Please like my video, follow me, send me an email, and reach out to me any way you can. I'm happy to help. Take care.